Welcome to the Accelerated Investor Podcast with Josh Cantwell. If you love entrepreneurship and investing in real estate, then you are in the right place. Josh is the CEO of Freeland Ventures Real Estate Private Equity and has personally invested in well over 500 properties all across the country. He's also made hundreds of private lender loans and owns over 1,000 units of apartments. Josh is an expert at raising private money for deals, and he prides himself on never having had a boss in his entire adult life. Josh and his team also mentor investors and entrepreneurs from all over the world. He doesn't dream about doing deals. He actually does them, and so do his listeners and students. Now sit back, listen, learn, and accelerate your business, your life, and your investing with the Accelerated Investor Podcast.
So hey, welcome back. Thanks for joining me. This is Josh Cantwell. Welcome back to Accelerated Investor, and we are in the middle of our 9-part series about the 9 things that enormously productive people, the things that they refuse to do, or the 9 characteristics of enormously productive people. And this is number 5. And number 5 is really, really, really important. Maybe the most important of all the 9 characteristics, which is that enormously productive people refuse to allow past failures to stop them from pursuing their new dreams and their future. I would say that the most productive people, the most successful leaders, the most successful entrepreneurs that I've ever met, they're also the world's biggest failures. They're the world's biggest failures. The friends that I have that are real estate investors, they all have done deals that they've gotten absolutely burned on. They've all invested with someone. They've done a joint venture partnership. They've invested in a deal that went absolutely awful for them. It took too long. The cost to put the deal together was too much. They lost money on it. They got stuck in a deal, whatever. They had an enormous failure. But the most successful real estate investors I know that have massive passive portfolios that invest in residential and commercial deals, value-add apartments, commercial buildings, small balance commercial, big balance commercial, they have those past failures. And those past failures, they just simply look at as a learning lesson. And the people that I see that get into an investment or start a business or invest in real estate, or they want to work for themselves or start their own company or start their own marketing agency, and they stop, is because typically they have 1 failure or 2 failures or 3 failures, and they think this dream, this end game that they have is that it can't continue because of these failures I've had. I'm not good enough, or I'm not smart enough, or I've tried and I've failed so many times, I just might as well give up. And so really productive people, really successful people, they just look at these failures as a part of life. It's a part of business. It's a part of what's going to happen. And when they have a marketing campaign that they start, or they do something that is not working, they think to themselves, like, look, what can I learn from that? Like, that's a lesson, that's a failure, sure. But what lesson can I take away from that I can incorporate into a future business? I was at Tony Robbins' event, Unleash the Power Within, and one of the sessions, I can't remember if it was Tony or if it was his partner, Joseph McClendon, who teaches part of that workshop, that event. I was in New Jersey. There were 14,000 screaming, amazing, crazy people. Most of the people in that event were entrepreneurs or business owners or leaders, and they're just looking to get better. And I would bet you that out of the 14,000 that were there were 14,000 people who had failed, 14,000 people that screwed up, 14,000 people that stopped, or that had a divorce or a bankruptcy or a business that failed, or a marketing campaign that worked where they wasted a ton of money, or a real estate investment that didn't work. But they were there screaming their heads off, dancing, jumping around for 3 or 4 days because they didn't let their past failure stop their belief in their future dreams. They all had future dreams, and they said, look, I'm just going to use that as a learning lesson. And, I've started companies. I mean, I've had business deals that have gone incredibly bad. I can't even tell you how many times I've hired a contractor to renovate one of my properties or one of my buildings, and the contractor either stole money or was behind time, behind budget, behind schedule, and it cost me money. But that doesn't mean I'm going to stop investing, because I know that real estate is the ultimate legacy wealth builder. So I'm not going to let these failures that I've had with contractors stop me from investing in a future deal. Okay? I've even told myself now that I know that contractors are it's the most toughest part of real estate for sure. And a contractor is typically going to last for me about 2 to 3 years max. So it's just one example. If you look at a marketing funnel, typically marketing campaigns and marketing funnels have about a 1 to 3 year life cycle. A really, really good marketing funnel. Let's say it's a webinar offer or an e-commerce offer, or maybe it's a set of Facebook ads that you're running. Those aren't going to last forever. You're going to have a certain video that just crushes it, that drives traffic to your website or drives traffic to your business. And for sure enough, in 1 or 3 years, that's going to fizzle out. It's no longer going to convert, and it's going to become a failure. And you're going to think, oh crap, why is that not working? It was so easy when that webinar offer or that offer was converting and it was working well. How do I get that to work more? How do I get that to work better? How do I redo it? So you're going to have to restart. So it's even successes will become a potential future failure, because everything seasons out over time. Certain relationships that you have that all of a sudden something goes bad. I've had relationships with my own brothers that have gone bad in our adult life, and it became essentially a failure. Well, I'm not going to let that stand in my way of the dream that I have of having amazing relationships with my family and with my brothers. But we might be in a season where we failed. We had a disagreement. We had a business that went bad together. We got in a fight. Maybe someone in his family or someone in my family wasn't getting along, and it was awkward. It was weird. Maybe you've had that situation where you have a family member that you've gotten in fights with, or you're having disagreements with, or maybe I can't even believe how many people in my adult age now are not communicating with their parents, or they've stopped talking to a brother or a sister. Okay? Many people would look at that as a failure. But ultimately, if your dream is to have an amazing relationship with your family, take note of the failure, take note of what went wrong, and be the person that says, look, we failed, but this is not where we have to stay. We failed in this business, or we failed in this relationship, but we don't have to stay here forever. Okay? You can even allow that to take, let it sink in. Let it take time. Let it take a day or a week or a month, whatever that is. But don't let it stay as a failure forever. A failed relationship is a relationship where you stop talking and you're not communicating forever. That's a failure. But when you have a relationship that goes bad and you fail in that moment for that week or that month or that year, and you're maybe not talking to somebody, or you're talking less, or you're fighting more, that's a failure. But that doesn't have to last forever. In my own relationship with my wife, as entrepreneurs, we have a whole nother level of stress, a whole nother level of complexity in our personal life that most people don't experience, because they're not entrepreneurs. They don't have all these moving parts that we have. We have amazing moving parts. We have so many different levers that are being pulled in both our personal life and our business life and our investing life, that it creates a tremendous amount of stress. And when there are times when Lisa and I don't get along, when we fight, that's a failure. But we have the dream of having an amazing relationship, an amazing marriage, and being amazing parents to our 3 kids, to Juliana, Alessandra, and Dominic, that if we let the failure of that fight, we let the failure of a business or the failure of an investment impact us forever, we've lost. We've lost. And so enormously productive and successful people, they refuse to let these past failures stop them. It can pause things for a minute. It can tell you, like, I've got to stop back. I've got to step back and take inventory of what's going on. But they refuse to allow those failures to stop them from their new actions and their new dreams. Their new actions, their new dreams have to be so big and so fun and so powerful and so exciting that the failure almost becomes meaningless. The failure becomes something they just learn from. It's just a lesson. It's not something that stops them. And so one of the ways to do this, one of the ways that my friends and the people that I've had the amazing opportunity to observe, they refuse to let this failure stop them. And the way they actually deal with it is that they create new goals, new dreams, a new future that's so big, that's so fun, that's so exciting, that they get ramped up, they get revved up, they get excited to pursue that the old failure becomes so much less important, so much less a part of their life, so much less meaningful, because the new dream, the new goal is so big, it overwhelms the past failure. So if you have a failure that you're dealing with now, what you need to do, one of the tactics, one of the ways, one of the hacks to deal with that is to sit down with people that you love, whether it's your spouse, whether it's a boyfriend, a girlfriend, people in your business, your family, your kids. Come up with a new dream. Come up with a new thing, something that you can get really juiced for, something you can get really jacked for, something that you wake up in the middle of the night and think, this is so awesome. I'm no longer losing sleep at night because of a failure. Now I'm excited to get up in the morning. I don't need 8 or 10 hours of sleep. I'm not under the covers all day. I'm actually getting up and I'm fired up for this new dream. Make the new dream overwhelm the past failure and let that failure just disappear. That's how I deal with it, okay? So I hope you enjoyed that tip. I hope that impacts your life. That's probably number 5, refusing to allow past failures to stop your new actions, your new dreams, your new future. That is probably the most important of the 9 characteristics of enormously successful and productive people. So fantastic. So I look forward to continuing our discussion on these 9 things enormously successful people do and refuse to do. And we're going to continue with our 9. We're on number 5. We're going to move on to number 6. Number 6 is that enormously productive people refuse to think small or give any space to self-limiting beliefs. I look forward to sharing that with you next.
You've been listening to Josh Cantwell and the Accelerated Investor Podcast. Leave a comment on our iTunes channel and let us know what you want to learn next or who you'd like Josh to interview. While you're there, give us a 5-star rating and make sure to subscribe so you can be the first to hear new episodes. Follow Josh Cantwell and his companies, Strategic Real Estate Coach and Freeland Ventures, on all social media platforms now, and stay up to date on new training and investment opportunities. To start your journey toward the lifestyle you've always dreamed of, apply for coaching at joshcantwellcoaching.com.